Hello, Jennifer, and hi, my boy Eric.
Hey, how's it going?
Going great. Back from my trip, getting
Yep.
a little accustomed to being back in the swing of things. But after a few days, it'll be a-okay.
Yes,
Uh,
welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you. I love you, Eric. I already
I
told you
love
that, but
you. Love you.
so a lot of people ask about cancer. My first question to you, Eric, is why is it so common now? What is it? It seems to be, are we just living long enough to have it, or what is it? Or is it
Yeah,
something in the
so
environment?
okay, so it's there's many factors he says. Yes, the environment, food, do contribute a big portion to it. Yes, people living longer, and also people choosing choosing to experience cancer. He says there has been an increase in that. So it's there's multiple reasons. um, okay, so he says, that some technology, newer technologies and stuff are causing an increase in things. um, he says that people still smoke so much. It's just he says there's so many things that are increasing the
Well, let's
cancers.
let's back up first. Tell me the top three spiritual contractual reasons that people would want to put cancer into their lives. I think one of them would probably be a lesson for their caregivers, because it's just really emotionally heart-wrenching to watch a loved one go through that and have to take care of them and watch them wither away and have to change their diapers and all that. It's really tough.
Yeah, so yeah, he says for some people it's an experience that they themselves need to have to experience. And he says a lot of times when that happens, one of the experiences a person wants to have is needing to rely on others. That's a very difficult thing for many of us to do, is to ask for help and to accept help. So he said that's a big reason, because you really need others when you're suffering like this. So for for that soul's own experience, but yes, also for the caretakers and the loved ones, and the people around them who watch them go through this. That's another one of the reasons. And he said also, it's like it's almost as if he's making me feel like there are a lot of people, a lot more instances of it, because there does need to be change with how it's viewed, how it's treated. And so it's so there's like the small, what seems small reasons for it, and then there's like the more global, the more worldwide reasons
Sure.
that
Well, why do
people
people
are
have
doing.
hard time accepting help? Is it self-loathing or lack of control? Probably all of the above. Maybe.
Yeah, yeah, lack of control is a big one. um Humility, he says humility, embarrassment, because some of it gets to be so bad. And he says there's just so much to learn from that experience, that a lot of souls choose this way to learn some of these things.
Okay, let's talk about maybe the top 3 to 5 uh, causes of cancer that are not contractual. One thing I want to ask is, you know how they use Roundup, glyphosate, or whatever it's called, on crops and stuff, and some think that is a reason that so many dogs now, or pets now, are getting cancer. Well, I switched mine to my dogs to, oh yeah, Taste of the Wild. It's all wild sourced um, or wild caught uh, things. They don't even have chicken in it usually, because chickens eat corn that might be from a crop that was sprayed by Roundup.
Treated.
So it's like bison and wild caught salmon and things like that. So is that part
Yeah,
of the reason that, for example,
yeah.
animals get cancer?
Yeah, it does. Yes, that is one of the reasons, is the food, and the what's being done, the processing of the food, the treatment of the food. He says that is one of the reasons that cancer has increased. It is contributing to it. Uh, that's a he says that's a tricky one, because it's just, he said it would be so hard, and to the point where impossible for everything that all humans consume to be organic.
Oh
He
yeah.
said there's just already not enough food. He says there's already not enough food.
Oh
Um, so he's like, that's so tough, that one. But yes, the food and the chemicals and the way that food's processed is one of the issues, for the increase in the cancers. The technology, like the he says, like, what's travels through the air,
oh, I was
the
just thinking that. Yeah, all the Wi-Fi and all these
yes.
radio waves and things. Ugh.
Yeah. So he says that contributes. Um, okay, so we're talking non-contractual stuff. Um, okay, he said it's funny because he says a lot of it is. He says, believe it or not, a lot of it is contractual. A
Okay.
lot of it is contractual. The skin cancer. He said that's, the sun and being out in the sun. He said that's still a big problem. That's still a
Yeah.
big one. That's not contractual.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we need to start wearing those aluminum foil helmets
Yeah.
after all.
Yes, he says, yeah, go ahead and start that trend, Mom.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. That people already think I'm crazy, so why not? All right, so are we in danger from glyphosate? I don't even know if they use that on American crops anymore. They certainly shouldn't. But does that mean we should
No.
avoid grains or?
Well, he says as much as you can, and of course, in the United States, it is a little easier to find the organic options than it is in other countries. He said, you do have more options there. So, if you're concerned about it, yes, he says eat as close to organic as you can.
Maybe we
Um,
need to go paleo. I don't know.
yeah, but it'll. He is saying that really there is. It doesn't seem like it. He says it doesn't feel like it, but there is. Um, they are making strides towards bettering how they treat the crops
Hmm.
and the processing of the food and the chemicals. He says that it really is something that is being worked on.
Okay. What
Um,
about, I always thought that diet drinks were, it seems like every patient that I had that had some sort of brain cancer, they were big drinkers of diet drinks, big
yep.
drinkers of diet drinks. And, part of it is, they keep these diet drinks in warehouses, they get hot and that turns something, I think
Yeah,
into
because with the
formaldehyde.
plastic too, yeah,
Yeah.
when the plastic gets hot, plus the chemicals that are already in there. He said, yeah, that really is, um, it's poison. He said it's not good for the body, the artificial sweetener. But what he's also saying is like, it's like this, like, there's also, for each individual person, their genetic makeup, um,
Ah,
also contributes to not only whether they will or won't get cancer, but to where the cancer affects the body.
yeah.
So if you had 10,000 people all doing exactly the same thing, eating the exact same thing, he said it would be 10,000 different cases.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think sharks don't get cancer. Maybe we could learn something from that. Why don't they get cancer if that's true?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. He says they're actually doing studies on that. That they that
Oh,
they
yeah, I
that they
hear that.
are doing studies on that to try to figure out why. Yeah, he says no, they don't. They don't, and it's got to do with their DNA. It's got to do with the structure of their DNA.
Okay, interesting.
But yeah, he said that is being studied and researched.
All right, now let's talk about the cures for cancer. Chemotherapy, I don't know about chemotherapy. First, one thing is big pharma is involved and they care
Yeah.
about the bottom
Mhm.
dollar. But the other thing I don't like about chemotherapy is oncologists actually get paid to use these drugs. So there's, a bit of a conflict of interest. And
Yes.
I just feel, and I might be wrong, that there might be other ways to cure cancer. I remember when I was 16, okay, I wrote this paper, and I wanted to patent it, but I didn't have the money. So I put it in an envelope and addressed it back to myself, certified mail. But basically it was to put cancer cells into a patient's immune system that already had that cancer, create antibodies against it, take those antibodies and attach either a radioactive tiny molecule or chemotherapy to it so it can go just to their cancer and not cause other problems. And now they're doing it. So God dang it.
Yes. Yeah.
Money for that. But but anyway, so what should we do to combat cancer?
Okay. So he says, first and foremost, he said, even if there are better cures and more cures, he says people will still die of cancer. He says it will not cure everybody. So that's the first thing. He says this is not a disease that we can eradicate.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's again with the different people, and for some people the chemotherapy does kill the cancer.
Yeah.
And so he says, those people might not do well with one of the other alternatives. Okay. So it's like, chemo, he says, chemo is so awful, but for some people it still does work.
Okay, yeah.
And so he says, it'll kind of always be around, but he says there is stuff that they have that they don't want to use.
Because it's not as toxic and very effective.
Yeah, and very effective. Yes.
Well, I know that this brings me to the point of Dr. Brzezinski. He's just right across the freeway from me. He has always been attacked by Big Pharma and the Texas Medical Board because he could seem to, cure cancer with he's cured, I think it was him. They cured advanced pancreatic cancer using low-dose naltrexone and IV alpha-lipoic acid, both extremely non-toxic.
Yeah.
And he has cured brain cancers with what he creates. He tailor-makes something called antineoplastins for each patient. So he's been very effective, and they don't like that. And
no, they don't.
Yeah, because it's really cheap too.
Yes.
Can't make much of a profit of it. Now, is it true that a lot of these holistic doctors and cancer researchers are being killed?
Yeah, he says there is truth to that.
Oh. If so, is it to prevent a cure development or to prevent them from discovering or exposing some truths?
Yes. It's not to prevent the cure. It's to prevent the exposure of truths. Yes, that's why, because they know, as he says, because they know too much.
Oh, see, a lot of Big Pharma is probably good, right? I mean, that's fine. But there are some that are not, and they don't want to cure us. They want to keep us sick so they can keep profiting, off of our illness.
It's like how, and that is exactly right. He says it's like we still do need it. We still do need the big pharma.
Oh yeah, of course.
Stuff. We absolutely do. And he says, okay, believe it or not, it's a small percentage of but they've got the power is the problem.
Yeah.
They've got the power. They pull the strings. So it's not everybody connected. It's like with the big pharmacy stuff, everybody's got their own place that they are, and it's only, he says, a percentage of them who are pulling the strings like this.
Oh, and I'm not going to ask for anybody's company name because that could endanger all of us. So
yeah,
know that they're out there. All right, here's one from a blog member. Is there an effective and enduring cure presently known by pharmaceutical industries for cancers, at least, some, if not all, that has not been used on purpose for commercial reasons, like customer remains because one patient cured equal one less future sick patient. I mean,
Yeah.
for example, he
There
lists.
is, yes, there is some of that, and oh, go ahead.
Well, he goes on to list intravenous vitamin C, which I have seen on a particular YouTube by this guy who had swine flu, who had adult respiratory distress syndrome, but had lymphoma. So reluctantly, the doctors, with the family's demand, put him on high-dose intravenous vitamin C, and his lungs were clear within 3 days. And then eventually his lymphoma also was cured. He was off life support. But also he lists not only that, but cannabinoid, CBD oil, coconut oil, baking soda, any of those?
Yeah. So what Erik was saying was that there are multiple things that are effective and that can help treat. So it's not just like this one or two things. There's multiple things that they know are effective. That if they were willing to try these things first, they would probably be able to have a lot of great success before they went through the chemo and the radiation and all this other stuff, but they don't do it. Now, see, they do it secretly. They do it. They do the studies.
Yeah.
Erik says they do the studies.
Well, I wonder if the oncologists would do something differently on their own family members.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
Would and do, he said.
Let me see. Okay, so Bashar says that avocados, asparagus, and walnuts are effective against cancer. Is that true?
There's an enzyme or something in there, is what Erik's saying.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's like an enzyme or something in there. But see, again, it's like what might work on somebody, whereas the intravenous vitamin C might work on somebody. It may not work on somebody else. So it's like okay. So he says the scope is so narrow for what the medical does. So it's like they're looking like this, but there's all this other stuff out here that could help, but they just look here.
I know. And what about energy healing? Could that help?
Yeah, it can. It help. Yes, it can help. He says it's good to be done in tandem with other stuff.
Okay. Because I know they have an energy medicine department at MD Anderson, our big cancer hospital here in Houston. And I saw YouTube or some video somewhere of a bunch of Reiki masters concentrating on this lady's bladder cancer, and you see it on ultrasound just shrinking. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and also what Erik is saying about the energy stuff is like if you are being treated for cancer, the energy work is really good at the faster recovery.
And maybe you'll get as sick from the chemotherapy, the treatment.
Yeah. That and to also to boost your mind, your mood, and so he says that's a really good thing to do in tandem if you are being treated for cancer.
And maybe regular cleansing and rebalancing of your chakras, would that help?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's probably what the energy healing partly entails, I guess. If I got cancer, what would you recommend to me? Eat avocados, do CBD. I mean, what's your recipe?
Yeah, he says.
Won't get it, but.
Yeah, he says you would try everything. He says you would go both ends. You would try.
No. What should I try?
Okay, yeah, because he's saying you would try the natural and the medicine.
Yeah.
And actually, what he says is the more natural, the more natural for you. But it's like he says you would go to that doctor across the highway from you. And do that. That's what he says you would do along with the natural stuff.
No, but what should I do? Not what I've done a lot of things that I shouldn't have done.
I apologize. This is what you should do.
Oh, okay.
So this is what you should do.
All right. So you're talking about the guy Brzezinski and his anti-neoplastins and stuff.
Yes.
Should I do CBD oil, IV vitamin C?
Yep.
All that stuff.
Yep.
Eat guacamole 3 times a day with walnuts sprinkled on top. And asparagus, but it makes my pee smell funny.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
okay. All right. So, but it's different for everybody, obviously.
Yes, it is.
What about crystals or any other alternative therapies?
Yeah, so with that, he says, again, like with the crystals, it's like with the energy work, it's like use that in tandem with what you're doing, whether it's natural, homeopathic
Okay.
stuff or medical. He said that's always really good to use in tandem with
Okay.
it. He does say, if you're just thinking of just doing energy work and using crystals, it's not advisable
Oh yeah, yeah.
to try to do it that way alone.
What kind of
Okay.
crystals? Name a couple that might be at the top of the list.
Okay, amethyst is what he keeps showing me.
Okay.
I do keep seeing amethyst, um, and okay, rose quartz, which is the stone for love.
Oh, okay.
So he says that one is also good. And clear quartz is good for everything.
Oh,
It's
wow.
an amplifier. It's good for everything. So I don't know why he's given me those ones, but those are the three that he gave me. So
So what do we
um,
do? Put it on top of where the cancer is? Put it in under our mattress? Put it in our pocket? All of the above?
yes, whatever each individual person feels drawn to, and that's the other thing with stones and crystals. It's what you're drawn to.
Okay.
um and then if you want to, a lot of times women will carry them in their bra, or men
Okay.
in their pockets, sleep with them under their pillows. You do want to check and see, because there are some very high vibration stones that might affect
Yeah.
your sleep if you're very
Oh,
sensitive, so
yeah.
you might not want to
Okay.
sleep with selenite under your pillow, or
Oh,
on your
okay.
bed or anything.
Okay.
If you're very sensitive to that.
Okay. What about, I mean, we spend so much time in bed. Should there be a particular color of sheets that we should sleep on?
No, he says this is an individual preference. Whatever, when you're having any kind of illness, whatever you can do that cheers you up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So if purple flowered sheets make you feel happier, then put purple flowered sheets on your bed. If
Okay. So,
so it's whatever boosts your mood um,
okay.
in this state.
Okay. I know this is a little off track, but I'm reading through these questions here, and they're not in any particular order. Um, what's kind of the main thing that causes that can cause cancer? Like, is it self-loathing? Like arthritis, I think it's rigidity, lack of flexibility. Myopia, it's like taking life for granted. That's the number one thing, apparently, according to Eric. Is there anything that will increase your chances of having
Yes.
cancer?
He is saying that the two words he's saying to me is negativity and anger.
Oh, yeah.
Negativity and anger.
Wow, my father
Um,
should have been completely riddled with cancer.
yeah,
God.
negativity and anger are the two he says. But again, that goes back to each individual person's genetic makeup.
Yeah, but it's so weird, Eric, because as a doctor, every time a patient of mine got cancer, but I usually caught them early, I would always think, God, that's the nicest person. It seems
Yep.
like the nicest people get cancer. Is that because they're holding all that anger inside, or
Yeah, he says you don't ever really know what's going on inside of somebody.
yeah,
Um, on that level.
yeah,
Medically, yeah, you can find out, you can look in there and
yeah,
find out, but on a spiritual level, you really don't know
yeah.
what's going on in there. And so it's like this. If you're predisposed, if say if you're genetically predisposed to getting stomach cancer,
Hmm.
and whatever you do in your life, your free will decisions may increase
Hmm.
that possibility that it's going to happen.
Okay.
So if you're predisposed to it anyways, and then you have all this negativity and this anger, well, that might kind of up the scale a bit of like, okay, yes, you're going to possibly develop an issue in this area. And then what you're eating and these things, these factors, they all
Add
kind of
up.
pile. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you know, uh, I guess that anger could also be anger against oneself, like self-loathing. Now, can
Yes.
you have a negative entity around you that can increase your chances of getting cancer?
You could, yeah, you could, because that would bring more negativity in. If you're if you've got this negative entity or energy around you, that's going to rub off on you. You're going to
Yeah.
take that in, that negativity. So yes, he said that could increase the possibility of it. Absolutely.
Okay, so it seems like uh, I would, and I do this actually, burn salt in every room with some rubbing alcohol, and smudge with Palo Santo sticks. Palo
Yep.
Santo sticks or sage, but also those Tibetan bells. Just clink them together. Bing! I love that sound in each room,
Yes.
and your car, and your garage, and your workplace, every
Hmm.
place you hang out, on a regular
Yes.
basis. I do it once a month. All of those. So maybe would that kind of
Yeah.
diminish the chances a little bit?
It does help. Yeah. Anytime you're clearing, clearing your energy, getting rid of the negativity, yes, it does help. But he said, you could do everything exactly right. You could
I
eat
know. You still could get cancer
yes.
because it's
He's
contract.
yes.
Well, what
Yep.
about being regressed to between lives where you're creating these contracts? Can you find out if that is your contract by doing
Yeah,
that?
he said you could. Yeah, you could if you could get there. If you could get there, you could find out if it's contracted or not. And then he
Okay.
said, of course, if you did, nothing you could do about it. Really, at that
Yeah.
point, you got to
I
you got
changed my mind. Erasing, erasing.
it.
No.
Yeah, delete.
Oh,
Um,
God.
no.
Um, okay. If you have this negativity in you, do you think the soul happy technique that Tracy Zaboro and Kara Hewitt created, that technique that involves some hypnotism, some EMDR, etc., that gets rid of all these negative thoughts that you have in your body and replaces them with happy thoughts, and it's online and it's so cheap. But do you think something like that would help?
Yeah, it could definitely help. And it's so funny because what he's saying now is like, unfortunately, he says most people don't think about preventing necessarily before.
I know.
Um, and so he says it's like if you were to do that and say, okay, well, I'm going to do all these things to prevent cancer, and then you don't ever get cancer. He says, and you still don't know, did what I did help, or
Ah,
is it just that I was not ever going to get cancer anyways?
yeah.
But he says, yeah, that would definitely help. And he says, oftentimes people, once they get the cancer, then it's like, okay, what can I
know.
do, instead of
Yeah.
looking at a preventatively. So yeah, it's just kind of, you do all this stuff and then you never get cancer. And well, did the stuff work, or was I just not ever going to get cancer anyways? He says, who cares? You
Yeah.
didn't
Who
you didn't
cares? You
get
don't have cancer,
cancer.
man.
Yeah.
Seriously, everybody should do the soul happy technique.
Yes.
I've gotten so much positive feedback, and I'm going to try it too when I have time. But soulhappy.com is the place. And I think they're offering like $25 off, and it's already like $160 only. And that's forever. That's all. And you can do it over and over and over again. And compared to psychotherapy, that's like the cost of 1 hour or 2 hour
Yeah.
sessions with a psychologist. So it's crazy. Okay, let me see. Is there a spiritual basis for a very common spiritual basis for childhood cancers? I bet you it's contractual with them most of the time, right?
Yes, with children, yes. He says absolutely. When it's with children, he says it's absolutely he says almost always contractual.
Yeah. Oh,
And
teaching
oftentimes for the
parents,
yes,
yeah,
oftentimes for the parents.
to learn about loss,
Yes.
humility,
Yep.
grief. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Well, how can you tell if the cancer development is from a contractual reason or environmental lifestyle reason? No way to tell
He says you
unless you get
can't.
regressed between lives, or what?
Yeah, he says you really can't tell on a medical. He says on a medical field, you really can't tell exactly. But he says with each individual person, if you're open, you might be able to get an idea of whether it's contractual or environmental.
I see.
Because
Okay.
even he says even stuff that comes about because of the environment
Yeah.
could have been contractual.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So
What about stress? Does that cause cancer or contribute
yeah,
to
it
it?
can. Yeah, it can contribute to it. Absolutely, it can contribute to it. Um, eh, and he says stress is a big one for once you have cancer. as far as like recovery and going through it. He said
Yeah.
that's a big one that affects um, the treatment.
Okay. Okay. What about the law of attraction? Can you just use the law of attraction and intent to help fight cancer or prevent it even?
Um, yeah, you can absolutely, as long as it's not contractual. He said.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
as
right.
long as it's not contractual, because if it's contractual, um, it's tough to dodge it. It's tough to dodge it. Not impossible. He said, on an occasion there is a contractual thing that can be changed here.
Oh, okay.
Um,
It's like, give me the memo, give me the cliff notes, okay? Let me
yeah.
learn my lesson in a memo so that, or teach that lesson to my caregivers as a memo so I can,
Yes, it would be awesome if we could get the memos like that.
I
So
know.
it's just about love and positive thinking,
Oh, yeah.
and he says there's so much about having faith and having hope, and
Yeah.
knowing that regardless it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, we're going to be okay.
That's true. We're eternal beings. What the
Yeah.
heck can happen to us? It's
Yeah.
okay. That's true. Um, what about low dose naltrexone? I talked about that. It has a lot of anti-tumor properties. What do you think about it, Erik?
Yeah.
It's like
He
the
says
why
there's
not
some.
drug. So, it's so
Yep.
safe.
There's something there, and he says that it does get there are doctors who are using it
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there are. That's for,
for.
yeah, for big time pancreatic cancer. It's,
Yeah. So that's he says there are, but I do feel like that's a little bit quiet
I
still.
know, because it costs less than a penny a day. Big Pharma
Yeah.
doesn't want doctors to know about that or
No.
patients. Um, so do you think it'd be a good thing to prevent cancer given as how it's less than a penny a day? Should we all be taking it, except for the contract people?
Yeah, no, he says no. He says no. You don't all need to take it because, again, there's not a easy, fit
Yeah.
for everybody.
Well,
So
what
he
about
said
if
no
you have
because
a strong family history of like breast cancer or something? Would
yeah,
that be something to
yeah.
consider?
If you were to, he says, if you were to have a strong history or to, have the I have some of the lab works done to check your markers
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff. If you're like a high risk or something, yes, he said like an aspirin for heart
Oh,
people.
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Um,
My one of my relatives, and Erik, his first name starts with a G, has a couple of kinds of cancer. And what do you think would help him? Is there a cure out there for him?
okay, so okay, so what I'm getting from Erik is that it's like a little bit of both, a little bit of the medical world,
Hmm.
the medicines, says some of the stronger stuff
Yeah.
will help him, but then to balance it with some of the stuff that will boost the immune system and boost the recovery,
Like what?
um, like the vitamin C,
Okay.
CBD, um,
Okay.
to look into. But it's how he's making me feel is like we do need some of maybe the stronger,
Mhm.
more aggressive uh,
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And he's a physician, so he's got to go that route anyway.
Yes.
Are there some beside the walnuts and avocados and asparagus? Are there some other cancer-fighting superfoods that we should consider?
Yeah, so he was saying about that when we were talking about it earlier, that really for some people that raw food, the raw
Oh,
food diet is helpful for them.
ew. Mm,
Yes, I know. I
gross.
know. But he says there are some people who would do well on raw food when they're treating or going through the cancer, that the raw food can be effective for some
Okay.
people. Yep.
Is that like a paleo? Is that what you're talking about?
It's like, the raw fruits and the raw vegetables
Oh,
and the
that's
raw
okay.
nuts. It's like
But
everything's like raw, unprocessed.
oh, that's
Um,
fine.
yeah,
Sushi, man,
so
sushi.
the
Steak
raw
tartare.
food diet. Yeah.
Okay, good. What about seaweed and wheatgrass as cancer deterrents? This one person asks.
Seaweed, for some reason he's really with the seaweed, again with the nutrients and the enzymes in the seaweed. The wheatgrass, he's a little bit less excited about it.
Enthusiast. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And now we talked about artificial sweeteners, processed foods, things that have glyphosate or whatever it's called. That's the ingredient of Roundup. Are there any other foods that we should avoid
Yeah.
that we haven't mentioned already?
Okay, so it's really heavily processed foods in general
Yeah.
are just not um, good for the body.
Okay.
So anything that's heavily processed
Okay.
would be on the top of the list of stuff to avoid.
Okay. All right. That sounds right. Um, are there any cancer treatments that should definitely be avoided because they're just big pharma gimmicks?
No, he says no, there's nothing really that's 100% to avoid, because even the big pharma stuff, even the chemo, it does help people, the radiation,
Yeah.
it does
Yeah.
save people. So he
Okay.
said no, there's absolutely not anything that's 100% don't ever do this.
Okay. Good. That's good to know. What about immunotherapy? Are immunotherapeutic drugs safe and effective, particularly regarding the treatment of cancer, autoimmune diseases, and other illnesses?
um you know what he has just said is stem cell.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
There's some stem cell research and something coming with stem cell that's going to be very effective as a treatment for cancer.
Good.
So sorry, I did get a little distracted because as soon as you said immunotherapy, he says stem
Okay.
cell.
Well, you didn't seem
Um,
distracted at all. So, what
okay.
are they going to do with these stem cells? Are they going
Um,
to do like immunes? I mean, tell me.
well, it's like I it's I don't I will tell you, I'll give you what he's giving me. I don't exactly understand it, but it's like it's gonna like create new pathways
Okay.
to make it, I don't know, easier to cure. I don't
Okay.
quite understand what it is, but it's like creates new pathways for I don't know, medicine to travel, or
Okay.
I don't know what this is.
That's
But
fine.
stem
Maybe,
cell.
maybe creating new vasculature for the cancer to deliver more chemotherapy. It could be anything, but
Yeah,
yeah. So
and
that's
this is, he
interesting.
says, like in the next 5 to 10 years, he said there's going to be a lot about this.
Oh, interesting. Okay, let's see. What about this alkaline body thing? People say you should not have an acidic body, you should have a more alkaline body. I thought it was
Mm.
the opposite, but I don't know anything. Does it reduce your chance of getting cancer?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you should, more alkaline. Yeah, you
Oh,
want less acidic, more alkaline.
oh,
Um, but he says it's like not too much, not too alkaline. But yeah, that does help with inflammation, and it limits the ability for disease to grow. Um, but then he's also saying that there are some people who just, even if they're drinking the alkaline water,
yeah.
their system's not going to go alkaline. It's going to stay
Oh,
acidic.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, why do people say that we should have apple cider vinegar? Is that an acid vinegar?
Well, yeah, but it's
Like acetic acid?
like with lemon's acidic, but it turns to alkaline in the body.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
So yeah, it's like it's like along those same lines where yes, it's acidic, but it turns to alkaline.
okay,
And the benefits are increased
okay.
once consumed.
What about eating animal protein? Does that promote the growth of cancer cells?
So he says it can for some. Yes, it can. It depends on, again, the person's genetic makeup. It depends on
Okay.
the quality. If it's loaded with hormones, he says yes, that's going to increase. If you're again going to eat more towards the natural, towards the organic, and you don't have a predisposition, then no. But yeah, if you have a predisposition and you're eating, meat that's heavily hormone, and eating, grains that have been processed with chemicals, yes, it is. It can be a contributing factor. To be honest, he's saying pretty much almost anything that you put into your body in somebody could increase the likelihood of, he's like, pretty much anything, if
I know
it's
that's so true. I mean, I read a study, God, this is like 20 years ago, where they fed these rats like several hundred different types of things, and they all cause cancer except apricot yogurt. That did not, which is weird. We should all start eating apricot.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
All right, let's see. Is there anything we can do to get big pharma out of the way to allow the natural or less damaging new cures for healing to become available? Well, they have they're in the senators and congressmen's pockets, so that's the big problem.
Yeah,
Money talks.
yes, we will not be able to get them out of the way, not fully. It will be a gradual process that some of the stuff that they would rather keep hidden will get, more well known. They can't keep it quiet forever. But he says they're too powerful. They're just too powerful that it's.
And they do some good too. So there we go.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
All right. So somebody asked if ultrasound works on some cancers.
Yeah, and like a red light, there's some sort of like a light, like a red light or something therapy.
I don't know.
He's talking about.
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh gosh. I feel like it's like right there. I know I'm trying it. It's like I feel like I've got some sort of a red,
like a photo,
something like that, but there feels like heat involved with it, like heat,
like infrared therapy.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, I don't know. I never heard.
Yes, there's something with that and with ultrasound, and again, it's case by case. It's case by case.
Okay, so it's not like it only works on kidney cancer. It can be it's case by case.
Yes.
Interesting. What about that's light therapy. What about sound therapy? Does that color therapy, sound therapy, are those?
How he puts that is that's more with the energy work and the crystals and stuff. Like those are good to add to whatever else you're doing to boost the mood, to balance the energy, to for that. Like those are good to do in tandem with other things.
Well, I forgot to ask you this when I talked about the animal protein. Would going vegan reduce your chance of having cancer? In the majority of people?
Okay, so exactly how he puts it to me is like this. If you went vegan and everything that you consumed was treated with chemicals, no.
I know. Well, if you were organic vegan.
Yes. Yeah, he said for some it would, and he said for others they may still get cancer or they may develop other issues that might go along with being vegan if they're not, if their system's not designed to be vegan, or they're not doing it properly.
Okay. Rose compounds. Are there compounds in roses that cure or can cure some cancers?
Yeah, there is something there, and what it feels like to me is like almost like after, like if you've had cancer and you're kind of on the mend, that there's something there that helps. So maybe not like during, but like towards the end. I don't know what this is, if it like rebalances the body or something, but he's saying there is something to that, but it's like more kind of like when you're on the mend and on the upswing.
Oh, okay.
Like heading into remission, there's something there with that.
Does it help you going, relapsing, or does it just help you get over all the shit you've been through?
Yeah. It's like, especially if I feel like with the chemo and the chemicals and stuff, that there's something that maybe helps to cleanse the body or something, like cleanse the blood or speed that process up.
So what does that mean? Rose hips, or what do you use? Is there like maybe aromatherapy or?
No, he's saying it would be something that, now don't just go eating roses, people. He says tell people don't just eat roses, but there's something in, again, a mineral or an enzyme that can help with to kind of flush the toxins out quicker.
Okay, so just basically go to your natural food, your Whole Foods, or your what do you call those stores? Health food stores.
Health food stores,
Ask an
health food.
expert.
Yes. And he also says acupuncture.
Oh, okay.
Acupuncture, it can be effective.
For what? For
at treating cancers.
Oh,
At
okay.
treating certain types of cancers.
Okay.
And like herbs and stuff that you would get from an acupuncturist, like like Eastern.
Oh yeah, so Eastern medicine. Go to your Eastern medicine holistic practitioner.
Yes.
You'd be so busy all day, 24/7 doing all these things, but hey, it might be worth it. Now, this is a question from somebody. If cancer is spiritual, I almost said if spirit is cancerous. If cancer is spiritual, why do pets get cancer? Oh. I mean, part of it could be the Roundup in their food. Change to Taste of the Wild People or something like that. But.
Yes. For animals, environmental and just predisposition. For the sometimes it's how they go, and the their people need to experience this but a lot of times it is the environmental issues for animals.
I hope Bella lives forever. I know she won't, but is she going to live a good long life, Erik?
Yeah. And even when she's not here anymore, she's still not gone.
I know.
She's still not gone.
Oh, I don't want to think about it. I'm about to cry. Just thinking about it. CBD oil, we talked about that. Let's see. Is it true that suppressed anger and emotions can give cancer? Yeah. Is cancer a disease that will come and go as in this generation's illness? No. What is the worst outside cause of cancer?
The worst outside cause?
Mm-hmm.
The worst outside cause, chemicals. Yeah. But there's some, there's other big ones. There's other big ones. So it's not like it's so vastly worse. It is, but it's not like, everything else is way, less.
Way down. Yeah. No, I understand. What about chemtrails?
Yeah. Chemical. He says chemicals.
Well, of course, that also includes food additives, right? Or some of those bad? Like what, the preservatives or the dyes? Or all of those?
Yep. Yes.
God dang. We're just going to have to starve ourselves. What about microplastics? Well, I don't know what that is. Plastics today?
Plastics in general, yes, can cause issues. Yes, like, when you were talking about the water, or the soda's getting hot in the plastic bottles,
Okay. And of course, we talked about Roundup. She mentions that, or GMOs. Now, I don't understand how just modifying a protein can cause cancer. I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense because you got to digest the protein anyway. But of course, there are plants that can be GMO. But some people, some researchers want to create GMO type plants that are more resistant to pests, so they don't have to use things or weeds, so they don't have to use chemicals on the crops. But so what's your feeling on GMOs?
Yeah, so that's such a big one. He says it really is, it's like a topic in and of itself, but he said to keep it short, he said basically without GMOs, without any genetically modified food, there would not be enough food. So he says it's like it's a lose-lose. Because when you genetically modify the food, yes, maybe not everything, but maybe some of the stuff does create other issues.
Like
but
what?
Without like cancers, or if it's like that sort of thing. But if you don't have enough, we don't have enough food anyways. He says across the world there's not enough food anyways, and so without making crops stronger and this kind of thing, he said there would be even less. So it's like
cancer, die of starvation.
Yes.
Your pick. Well, I thought scarcity was an illusion, dude. What's going on here?
Well, It's
Aha, gotcha. No,
yeah,
really.
no, I mean, there's people who still are starving, you know?
Yeah, and they believe in scarcity. That's the problem. They believe in that
Yes,
illusion, so they create that reality.
yes. Yeah,
And
he says there are people that still are starving across the world.
okay, anything else? Well, what is the best cure for cancer now? But again, that's, the takeaway I'm getting here is that there are lots of things that can be done on the
Yeah,
prevention side and the treatment side and the after treatment side. And there's not a one size fits all model. So you have to like feel in your heart
yes.
what is right for you. You just have to follow your intuition,
Yes. Yes,
period.
because there is not a one size fits all for anybody, for anything. He says there really is not a one size fits all for
Yeah.
anything. And so, yeah, there are people who are going to, if they get cancer, they're going to go get chemo. They want to be with their doctor, whatever their doctor says. There are
Yeah.
still people who want to do that. And there are other people who would do everything that they can to avoid chemo and radiation. And so he
Or do
says,
it in combination with it. Yeah.
yes. So it really isn't, yeah, there's not a one, this is what will cure it. It's an individual case.
Well, check out Stanislaw Brudzinski. I don't know how to pronounce, how to spell it even, but if you go to YouTube and look up the documentary called Cancer is Big Business, it's a whole documentary that is fascinating. You guys check it out. I am not going to remember to put that link up probably, but Anyway, thank you so much. Anything else you want to say before we tell people how they can get in touch with Jennifer, who is awesome? You want to add anything else, Erik, about cancer?
Um, just that, you know, don't give up. If this is a battle that you're fighting right now, he says, just don't give up. There are options. And if you're still here, keep exploring the options.
Right. And call upon the CE family to send prayers and healing
Yeah.
energy and love and light. And, I have a little list by my bed of all the people I give a prayer to every night. So, and it's getting longer and longer, which is
Yes.
fine. All right. You guys can get in touch with Jennifer but
Psychicmediumjenniferdoran.com.
and we've got a great CE event in October. I'll try to get this posted before that, but you guys, tickets are going fast. Check it out. It's on the right-hand side bar of the homepage of the blog, which is, channelingerik.com. So check it out. Get your tickets. It will be life-changing. Okay, I love you guys. I love you, Erik.
Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.